All right, here's public opinion. It is the distribution of an individual preferences for or evaluations of a given issue, candidate, institution within a specific population. And I hate that definition. I got a better one for you, actually. How about this? I like this one a lot better. The aggregate opinion of the masses.
Which one should be right?
I like aggregate opinion of the masses, but they're both, right. They're all going to be on the test. Every detail from this and your Scitel book. I hope you guys have been reading your Scitel book in preparation for my lovely lectures. Because there's as much Scitel on the test as there is Dr. Madison. And there will be tech reports as well. So, public opinion. We need to get an idea what people's attitudes are towards different things. So we got to take the pulse of the people. We do that through various surveys, polls. We ask them what they think. And later, as we get deeper into this lecture, we'll find out that nobody knows what they think until we ask them. Then they got to think about it. Then they tell us. Then they think that, and then, et cetera, et cetera. Several characteristics of public opinion. We've got intensity. This characteristic measures how strongly people feel about a certain issue, whether it's good. It's not whether it's good or bad. It's how good or how bad is this issue. We've got latency. Latency refers to dormant attitudes that may be evoked or evoked in the action. It's like, so people don't, latency refers to the idea that people don't know what they think, but there are things beneath the surface that will come out when you ask them what they think. Does that make sense? All right, good. And we've got salience. Did we talk about salience in here, or was that a different, that was a case study. Salience comes from a Latin word that's also a Spanish verb, saltar, which means to jump. Salience refers to those things that are top of mind and jump to the surface. And salience refers to opinions that are closely related to the lives of individuals. If there are no gay people in your family, gay issues are probably not at the top of your mind. If your brother or your sister is like gay or lesbian, then same-sex marriage is probably going to be more salient in your minds. Does that make sense? Okay. So salience, intensity, latency, and salience, these are all characteristics of public opinion. So how do we gauge public opinion? Well, we do it through we do personal contact. We talk to people. We look at media reports. As we shall see soon, most newspaper polls are a bunch of garbage, but we still look at it for some reason. Field reports, letters, telephone calls to the editor, or if we're working in public relations, letters and telephone calls to us complaining about our product or praising our product, things like that. Customer service call centers are a big source of telephone calls. You guys may have seen on the back of your Ivory soap or at the bottom of your Budweiser bottle, it has an 800 number you can call for questions and comments. Well, we can measure public opinion by the volume of feedback we get through those 800 numbers. We may get public opinion from staff meetings. We can find out what our internal publics are thinking when we have staff meetings. Also, your standard polling and sampling. Calling people to ask them what they think. Mall intercepts. Anybody been to Las Vegas lately? Las Vegas is full of pollsters. It's based on the assumption that people in Las Vegas are a random sample of America. That assumption is not necessarily accurate, but that's how we're set up to poll people. What kind of things do you think we measure in regard to public opinion? What's that? Approval ratings, that might be one thing. How much they approve of a candidate or a president or something. What else? What else? Come on. Let's pick on somebody here real quick. All right. Megan Beckwith. All right, Megan. So you got some adrenaline going. You're like, I'm on the spot here. You will remember this for the rest of your life because we've induced a physiological response in you. What would you, if you're going to poll somebody, what kind of questions are you going to ask? What kind of things are pertinent to whatever you need to know?
Well, like if you could think of what are you calling for, like for a company, or like for a product?
Very good question. How about for a company? How about for a candidate, political candidate? Let's go with politics. What do you want to know from the person you're polling, the people that you're polling?
Maybe like what they know about the candidate.
Like their volume of information? Good, I like that. I like that. Anything else? Okay, all right, well, let's pick on somebody else. Lindsay Bain. You're on my list here. What are you going to ask people if you start polling them? You guys just on the
What their
same
beliefs
page.
are?
I'm sorry?
What their beliefs are?
What their beliefs are regarding
Like
if it's political
environmental policy.
Okay. So beliefs, yeah, I like that. I can go with beliefs. That's something we call psychographics, actually. All right. Since nobody else wants to answer, thank you, folks, for answering this and allowing me to induce a physiological response and we'll remember. Demographics. We want to know things like people's age, education, ethnicity, income, stuff like that. We want to know exactly. This later allows us to divvy up our publics into different segments. So people, I don't know, what do people age 65 to 85 think about marijuana? Marijuana legalization. They love it? In Texas?
Well, not in Texas.
Not in Texas. Okay, so there's demographics there. Their location.
Maybe Colorado.
Okay, what about 18 to 25 in Colorado, California, Washington? They're open to it. Yeah. So we can divvy people up by age. We can divvy people up by education. You guys are an elite, actually. Most people don't have college educations. Most people don't make it. What's the high school dropout rate in Nacogdoches? It's like 20 or 30%. Is that right? I don't know. I'm not saying that as fact, but it's pretty high. So these people drop out. Then we got the freshmen drop out. A lot of people drop out as freshmen. You guys are like total Darwinian fish dinosaur people here. If you were juniors or seniors, you guys are survival of the fittest type stuff. We can divide things by ethnicity. This is a critical one. Especially, this is all you ever hear about in politics as well. We need to up our presence among African American voters or Hispanic voters. Ethnicity is critical because it applies culture. Culture is going to be one of those things that we'll see here in a few minutes that will shape our opinions and attitudes towards different things. Then we've got psychographics, we got personality traits, we got lifestyle preferences, values, what people value and believe in, attitudes and opinions, things, psychological things beyond people's, or things inherent within people. Does that make sense? Like demographics are not necessarily something you can really control, or something that your mind shapes as much as psychographics. Demographics are largely structural. You can't control your age or change your age. Actually, I've met women who do. Anyway, I better not go down that path right now. We also want to measure media use and other information-related behaviors because we want to find out how we can best reach these different demographics, different target publics. Things like that. So this is just kind of the basic stuff that we need to know when we're measuring public opinion. Once we measure public opinion, we call them and say, hello, how are you? How old are you? Etc. And we get all this information. Then we get this big data set. What do we got to do with that? We got to look at it. we have to analyze public opinion. We use all kinds of different statistical methods. Anybody had a stats course? A couple people. You guys have as far as things like regression and ANOVA. Those might be a little more advanced. You probably have like central tendencies and chi-square and stuff like that. All right, so we use statistical methods to predict and model different things. It helps us predict voting outcomes or buying outcomes and things like that. Discriminant analysis is another thing. We can like discriminate. What variables discriminate well between like men and women? Like, yeah. So we got a chart here. We got men. We got women. What kind of variables are going to be like high in the male end? We'll start with that question. Like, what kind of the characteristics about men are going to say, yeah, if we point to it, we say, yeah, that's probably a guy if that person has that high of a rating on a certain...
Like personality traits?
Things like that, yeah.
Like aggression?
Aggression, I like that. It's probably more likely that a man is going to score like 5 out of 7 or 6 out of 7 on aggression. The female might get, what, 2? I don't know. What do you guys think? This is not necessarily always the case, but if we're filling out a survey, getting cross-sectional data. Now, let's not go into discriminant analysis. Just know that there are different variables, personality traits, and characteristics. We talked about one the other day, that women are more open to feelings or something. What did we say the other day?
They're more sensitive to like emotions, like on commercials and stuff like that.
More sensitive to, okay, yeah, so women are going to score higher on that question than men are. So, yeah, this helps us do different segment profiling. I want to just kind of throw out American Association of Public Opinion Research and Midwest Association of Public Opinion Research. All right. Mayport is in Chicago. It's awesome. I mean, Chicago-style hot dogs, public opinion pollsters. There are people from Arbitron. There are people from like all over the place. Survey methodology experts. It's like every pollster's wet dream in Chicago the weekend before Thanksgiving every year. Yeah, I wasn't able to make it last year, so I'm going to go next year. Or not this year, but next year. What else we got? We also may analyze public opinion through qualitative comparisons or case studies. Qualitative comparisons refers to, like, you interview a bunch of people and find out differences based on those interviews. You're not measuring anything. You're just asking people questions about their different attitudes, where they come from, and what they think about certain things, and why they feel the way they feel about certain things. And then case studies is another form, but you guys will take my case studies course when? Spring? Good. All right, so let's talk about the history of polls here. Literary Digest is successfully predicting different elections from 1920 to 1932. Then they were using straw polls. You guys know what a straw poll is? Straw poll is bullshit. Pardon my French, but straw polls are not representative. What they're doing, they're going out in the street and they're grabbing like 10 people to fill out a survey, and then they're going back saying, oh, well, out of these 10 people, 8 said this guy will be president, so it must be true. Well, you can't do that because these people are not the only people voting in the election. You've got people from all walks of life, all regions, all incomes, all educations, all different demographics voting, and so you can't take 8 people out of the same neighborhood and base a presidential election on what they have to say. So what happens? Predictably, eventually they didn't predict it correctly. They said 1936. They had sampling error. But a guy named George Gallup, who was conducting representative polls, or better, he's doing much more advanced type of sampling, made the correct prediction. That's probably what you need to know most about that. Is Gallup was taking samples of people that were much more representative than just going out and grabbing the first 10 people that you find. Does that make sense? We good on that? And know something weird? Going back to Mayport, the Midwest tends to predict presidential elections much better than any other place in the nation for some reason. You get it's like you poll people like in Iowa, and they tend to predict who's going to be president better than anybody like California, Texas, red state or blue states. That's a weird thing about that. I'm not sure why. So let's take a look at attitudes. That's the history of polls. I think the lesson we've learned here is that you want a representative sample. You don't want to just go grab 10 people off the street because you're going to get the wrong prediction on your president if you do that. So let's talk about attitudes. Attitudes have valence. That means they can be positive, negative, neutral, or mixed. We've talked a little bit about cognitive dissonance, but something to know about your attitudes are going to generally kind of reflect your beliefs. And because whenever we get cognitive dissonance, we're confronted with information that is dissonant with what we already believe and what we already think, we tend to look for information that gives us more ammo, that supports our existing cognition, our existing thinking. We tend to do that all our lives, actually. It's like what our species was made to do, was fight cognitive dissonance. But you can use cognitive dissonance to motivate people for desired actions. By appealing to existing attitudes, you can help. Again, we talked about this already. By appealing to people's self-interest, you can motivate people, and that self-interest may be holding on to that belief. You can motivate people into doing or believing things that are consonant with what they've already got going. So, factors, those things that affect their attitudes, check them out. I should have asked you guys first. Oh well. All right, attitudes are formed by a lot of different things. They can be personal characteristics, cultural characteristics, education. The family is probably the strongest one of all. Family probably shapes people's attitudes more than has the greatest influence on where our attitudes come from. I was watching Morgan. You guys know who Morgan Spurlock is? Yes? Who is he?
Wait, no, she never wrote
Morgan Spurlock, this guy, he did the movie Super Size Me.
Oh,
He does all kinds of, in the greatest show ever sold. Have you guys seen that movie? Oh, you guys gotta see that. It's amazing. He goes to all these advertising agencies, or he goes around to all these companies and he sells advertising to make a movie about the process of going around selling advertising to make a movie. We might watch some of him when it comes time for product placements, integrated marketing communication, things like that. Product placement, product integration into movies and entertainment. What was that terrible Sean Penn movie? Starbucks. Something, Sam I Am Sam. Product integration. The guy works in Starbucks. They sit around drinking Starbucks all the time. The Starbucks ad. A crappy movie too, I thought. Yeah, personal opinion. Anyway, I'm getting off track. Religious types of things can influence who we are, what we believe. I think I told you guys a story about, I surveyed a bunch of illegal immigration guys. You know, it's like Minutemen, the guys that go down with like beer and shotguns at the border and sit in lawn chairs and call the Border Patrol when they see people crossing illegally. So I surveyed these guys. We're running a survey, right? And I was assuming that they were doing this as some kind of either civic engagement, in which it was like, the idea was they were protecting their community from harm or something like that. Or it was political mobilization, in which they were trying to send a message through the media about immigration through California and Texas. But what happened? I get my survey results back, and somebody said, and I admit, I had never even considered religion being a driving force behind going down to the border with a gun to stop people from crossing. Some people said, hey, I have a religious calling to go down and protect the United States of America from invaders. I didn't even think about that. So religion can often play a factor in our different attitudes and decisions. Things like social class, race, all these things. All these things shape our attitudes, but probably the number one thing is family. Would you guys agree with that? Is there anything else that shapes your attitudes that we haven't talked about? Hunger? Did you say that? Or did I mishear that?
She said hungry.
Who said okay. Hunger. All right, a biological need. I like it. I like it. It's not on my list, but I might even put it on the test. I mean, our biological needs are also, well, it might fall in with personal, actually, but yes, our different biological needs are going to shape our attitudes towards different things. Very good. All right, so what did we say persuasion was? Do you guys remember? We watched a persuasion video in here, right? What is it? We don't remember?
You like get someone to maybe there's a certain way or do a certain thing for like both of your benefits or something.
I could go with that. Yeah, that's getting there. We'll define it as this: an activity or process in which a communicator attempts to induce a change in the belief, attitude, or behavior of another person or group of persons through the transmission of a message in a context in which the persuadee has some degree of free choice. There's a little component of free choice in persuasion. And the way we talked about doing it was, well, you appeal to their self-interest. Appeal to people's self-interest. And this is all in the Psych-Help book, so I'm not going to repeat it. So about use of persuasion. You can use persuasion to do all the above and more. You can change or neutralize hostile opinions toward you. One principle you need to be aware of that is not covered in your book, I don't think, and I don't think it's covered in subsequent lectures, is this. An important principle is this. It is, what was it? You've got to talk to people differently based on what your relationship is with them. Does that make sense? So you got to talk to the choir a little bit differently, and you got to talk to the people that hate you for whatever reason. And then the idea is you get the people that come closer and closer and closer to you, and as they get closer, you got to talk to them a little bit different each time until eventually they are your choir. Make sense? You can also use persuasion to crystallize latent opinions and positive attitudes. Is then get people who might not know what they think to look within, see what's there, and crystallize their opinion. The book Crystallizing Public Opinion, you may remember, was written by Edward Bernays. I'm still reading that thing. I might do that this afternoon. Crystallizing Public Opinion. Yes?
What does latent opinion?
It means hidden beneath the surface. It means we don't necessarily know what our opinion is until somebody asks us, and then we got to think about it. And then whatever our attitudes will shape our attitudes, and whatever we kind of believe already will come together to form an opinion that we tell somebody. So latent just means hidden or beneath the surface. We can also use persuasion to conserve favorable opinions. This is a synonym for this is reinforce existing opinions. Reinforce existing opinions. Reinforcement is, anybody taking psychology? What's reinforcement?
Like putting a thought in someone's mind over and over and over again to like
Okay. It's or once they've already got the belief, you reinforce it. You egg them on. so to speak. Is that not egg them on? That's not the right word for it. It's making their opinion stronger than it was before. Let's go with that. Yes, ma'am.
So, I'm sorry, back on crystallized writing opinions, is it someone asking a person to clarify like what they think, and then that person realizes, oh, I think this?
That is a way of crystallizing opinion, yes.
Okay. So
It's the idea is that our opinions are kind of fluid,
okay.
and they're shaped by attitudes, all kinds of stuff. And crystallizing it makes it just means clarifying it. I guess that's probably the best way. Like, let's think of something very complex. Let's pick on somebody, though. I like doing that. Let's see who else is on the page. Let's go to a random person on the next page. All right, Shamika. What is your opinion on the war in Afghanistan? Pointless. What else? Stupid. Why is it stupid?
Because they're fighting them. The whole reason they're over there is because the Afghanistan people didn't want them there because of religious territory. So now they're fighting just for their territory. America's just nosy, so they want to get in the fight. It's all pointless. Killing lives, taking pointless people's lives for no reason.
Okay.
It's just behind it.
All right. Well, it sounds like it's a fairly crystallized opinion to me. I don't know. Anybody else? I got to sneeze real bad. Sorry. Oh, where that came from. All right, we're good. So let's take a second. All right. Most opinions are not that well crystallized. Most opinions on complex topics are like immigration is an excellent one. Most people do not have a good, clear sense or a good, clear attitude, clear opinion of immigration because it's too complex. I mean, there are too many pluses and minuses, and we've got to be able to get a crystallized public opinion on complex topics, we've got to process them. So how do we do that? Well, there are tons of models, there are tons of theories, and I'm going to show you guys, and this usually intimidates people. This is, are you ready? It's a model. It's going to be on a test. So go to Wikipedia. It says dual process model. It's called the elaboration likelihood model. And I think we need to draw this out because that's what we got to do. Elaboration likelihood model. These things, this is a dual process model. It means we've got two processes going on. So this is our elaboration. We've got low, and then we've got high. I'm going to call that elaboration. Elaboration is, what is elaboration? It's how likely we are to think about something. Elaboration is just thinking about something. In the simplest terms, it's thinking about something. Let's see, like Shamika, a second ago, I said, what's your opinion on Afghanistan? She immediately said, pointless. That implies like a low elaboration. She's not thinking about it. She's already got the answer there. So she doesn't have to think about it. Now, somebody that hasn't thought about it might think a little bit more about it. They can be encouraged to think more about it by appealing to their self-interest, saying it's in your best interest to think about the war in Afghanistan. So we end up with high elaboration. Kind of counterintuitive, isn't it? We got low up here and high down here. All right. So we've also got this pesky thing in here. Oh, hold on a second. Let me put it this way. The low elaboration, we're not likely to think about our opinion. It's not likely to change. So opinion, no change. Now, with high elaboration, the more we think about something, the more we're kind of stimulated to do it by appeals to our self-interest, the more likely our attitude is to change. But then we've got this pesky thing in there. So we're talking about high elaboration, low elaboration. This is also known as the central root, central processing, or to do this, we do it systematically. We go through a system to process things. We might call it systematic. We might call it mindfulness. Let's stop with that one. Does that make sense? We've got a degree of elaboration. We have high elaboration, low elaboration. It's also called central processing, systematic mindfulness. They all mean the same damn thing right here. These are all synonyms. So what happens? We got this pesky thing. Every single one of us has tons and tons of these little pesky things in our heads. They're like monkey wrenches in our heads that screw up the process. Any idea what those are? What kind of monkey wrench would make us not stop thinking about something, make us not think about something? Or what kind of monkey wrench in the works of our brains would make us stop thinking about something that somebody was trying to get us to think about?
Distractions.
Distractions. No.
Arguments.
Well, hold on. Let's look at distractions for a second. Distractions is not what I'm looking for, but I'm not even aware of any literature on that. That's a good question. I'll tell you what, distraction is not going to be on the test. A distraction. You know, a distraction would work the same way. I'm going to throw that in here with a lowercase d because it would work the same way, but it's not exactly the word I'm looking for. But it is something that could hijack your processing. What else? Somebody said something else a second ago.
Oh, I said argument.
Arguments. If we're responding to arguments, that implies high elaboration. Or if we're considering arguments, it's high elaboration. Or we're thinking about it. Well, that's not what I'm looking for. I got this thing. Hijacks it. It is called, let me see if it's on the next slide. I can't remember if it's on this slide. Yeah.
So are you going to fill this out on the test?
What's that?
Are you going to fill this out on the test?
No, you're not going to fill that out. They're going to ask you a couple of questions. You have to apply it. That's not a very good model of this. I'm trying to keep it simple. This is more complex. You look at this, you look at that on your own time. It's a little bit more complex, but here, still, take a look at my simple version of it right here. What I'm looking for right here is distractions, yes. This is a stereotype. We have stereotypes of different types of people in our head. Whether we like it or not, we pick them up through TV, we pick them up through family life, we pick them up through all kinds of places. My personal research has found that television can help erode stereotypes and make us more accepting of people. But stereotypes will hijack your central processing. And then you go back to low elaboration. Does that make sense? Kind of. We're confused on that.
So are you coming from high elaboration and then all of a sudden? Okay.
Our natural state is to be in a low elaboration state. So I don't really think about things. That's a natural human state.
So do we leave stereotypes? Like we have a stereotype and then go back to like our
Yes.
past thinking?
Yeah, for example, let's see. We use this, actually we struggled with this in my case studies class, about police. I mean, what's on Facebook? What's going on with police departments these days? Your public affairs people are slacking. We're seeing police shootings all over the place. Every day it's like a new police shooting, or the police got a tank. Nacogdoches has a mine-resistant vehicle because we've got so many landmines in the streets of Nacogdoches. We need to have that mine-proof vehicle so the police stop getting blown up. Things like that. I mean, we've got. Go ahead.
Okay, so we're more likely, or naturally, we just don't really think about things.
Yes, we are cognitive misers.
So maybe we start trying to think about things more in detail, but then a distraction is a stereotype. And
Distraction or a stereotype. We think, oh, well, all police are the same. And whatever that stereotype in our head is, police shooting people, driving around in a mine-proof vehicle, and things like that. like that. All police are the same until we stop thinking about it. So the police are up against a big challenge. I mean, that is a common stereotype of police. All over Facebook threads is that police are violent, they shoot people, they get away with it. And so, what are some other stereotypes of police? They racially discriminate. That's a huge one. Racial discrimination, or racial profiling. That's the word I'm looking for. That in itself is a form of stereotype. Does it make sense on that? Kind of. We'll take a look at this stuff in the D2L slides. Download D2L slides. This will explain. Oh wait, I better point out one more thing. This root, the stereotype root, is also called the peripheral root. Where we've got central and systematic and mindful, this is when we're thinking about stuff. When we drop out of thinking about stuff, we've got the peripheral root. It's also called heuristic. Yeah, that's another word for stereotype is heuristic. It means we have a set idea of how things are supposed to be. And that set idea hijacks our thinking. I mean, you've seen greeting cards, not greeting cards, I don't know, different slogans written on different things that say, oh, be open to life, memes and stuff like that. Now, that's the central root right there. Being open to ideas and open to new things. All right. So there are a lot of things that, oh, damn, we're not going to get to the polygamous. Yeah, we are. I promise polygamy, I will give you polygamy. All right, so a lot of things go into the elaboration likelihood. People tend to respond, but not uniformly, to different new facts and different emotions. Some people act on their emotions more than others. So these factors, these things are going to shape our central processing as well. These are kind of inputs into the model. We've got facts. We've got emotions. We've got experience. We've got how personalized the message is. These different factors are going to shape how likely we are to process information systematically. So there's a lot going on. This model is not simple to understand. And if you have any questions, come see me tomorrow or Thursday before the test. But I believe this is also in your book. If not, just go to Wikipedia. I shouldn't recommend that. All right, so influencing public opinion. Listen, you guys, what's your opinion of the Iran conflict?
I have a question, because I noticed that we have the
Uh-huh. No review on this one. No review. Because this is a relatively very short module. I think we've got like 4 or 5 chapters in it. The next one has 6, I believe. So yes, I will give a review for exam 2. Now, if the grades on this one are good, I might not give one. I mean, I wasn't going to give any reviews ever until I started finding out that my tests were extremely difficult. So I started giving reviews after the first one. But the first one is a relatively shorter set of chapters. So, all right. Let's get some public opinion here. What do you guys think of the Iran-Contra scandal? Does anybody have an opinion on that? Of course you don't. You weren't even born at that time. How can you possibly have it's difficult to have an opinion on something that happened before you were born. Because opinion is sensitive more to current events than it is stuff that happened 20 years ago. Opinion is also determined more by events than words. Visual imagery plays into this. What's the cliche? Action speaks louder than words. Well, seeing something or being a part of an event even it's going to shape your opinion a lot more than just hearing about it. What else we got? Sometimes, or some people are more sensitive to leadership. When we're unhappy with leadership, we tend to really, really hate it. When we're happy with it, we tend to give it extra leeway. So if people like Obama, they'll kind of overlook various mistakes that he makes. If people hate Obama, they're going to go exaggerate it. They're going to see all the bad things he does. That's just kind of a characteristic of being human. When we don't like someone, we come up with all kinds of crazy ways to hate them and tend to ignore their good qualities. That's how we're wired. There's a genetic predisposition for that. But when we like people, it's like our best friends, okay, let's think about this. That woman in Austin, that district attorney, right? She gets arrested for DWI. You guys see what I'm talking about? Then Rick Perry tries to take her funding away, and then Rick Perry gets charged with felonies. Let's talk about that woman for a minute. What do you guys think? Should that woman have gotten off scot-free and kept her job? Mm-hmm. I'm hearing no's. I'm hearing yeses. And I think she's a repeat offender, too. DWI. She got wasted. Was cruising around town and got arrested. She didn't kill him.
Did she injure anyone?
She didn't injure him.
What'd she do?
She had to be like restrained.
She had to be restrained. I mean, she was fighting back. She was spitting on cops. That arrested her. Huh? No, Rick Perry doesn't matter. We're talking about this woman. This woman's in a high position, and after she got arrested, she was spitting on police, and then she refused to quit. She refused to resign from her job of prosecuting drunk drivers.
Wait.
So she prosecute.
I mean, should that woman have gotten off scot-free like that, with probation or whatever? No. Okay, now what about your best friend? First time they ever get drunk, they say, well, I'm just going to go to the store to get some water. And they don't seem that drunk, really. And then the police pull them over, and they get thrown in jail.
I'm pretty sure my
It's your best friend. Huh?
I'm pretty sure they won't sit on the cop of resistance.
Well, we don't know. What do you...
Okay, wait, you have to think about different things. Like
Yeah.
you just said with the woman that she's a repeat offender.
Uh-huh.
And if this is your best friend and this is his first time, that's two totally different concepts.
Okay.
That's like saying the zebra tapped the lion and then another animal tore the lion to shreds. Like, those are two different things.
Okay, what kind of processing is going on here? What kind of processing do we call that? High elaboration. What else? Amazing? I think you got a fan here. You got central processing. And what was the other one? Systematic. Okay, we've got that kind of processing going on here. Now, our tendency is to give our friend a little bit more leeway
I don't know.
than it is the person
No.
who's
I would give my friend less leeway because I'd be like, you can call me, you can call Driving Jacks, you can call a cab. Like,
Okay.
I have friends that you work out tickets and they come like, I got a ticket, I'm like, good, because you needed it.
Okay.
You needed it.
So anybody else? Anybody else say no breaks for my friends? Anybody else say that?
Oh, no breaks?
No breaks for friends. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Well, this class defies statistics, and I think you're all lying. But this class defies statistics in that we give the same amount of leeway to people we don't like as we do people we like. I mean, statistically, that's
Well,
not
maybe in
true.
other situations, but in that this particular one, like, not me.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
they were
right.
like, I'm gonna go lie to somebody. I'd be like,
Something,
go ahead, do
yeah,
it.
like a different situation, you're right. Like, I would give more leeway to my friend than I would someone I didn't know.
It's just a DWI situation.
Yeah, just that situation, I would say no.
All right. Well, you see how that works, though. I mean, we tend to give people we like more leeway than we do people that we don't like, or that are strangers, or people that misbehave. We don't know them. So, we got to get to some polygamy here. Just know this for the exam: it's difficult to change opinions associated with self-interest. when people have self-interest at stake, it's very difficult to change those opinions. People also form opinions more about goals more easily than methods. I mean, it's easy to say, we want a happy, shining society. But none of us are going to agree on how we're going to get there. My favorite comedian, Doug Stanhope, says, actually my second favorite comedian, I like Chris Porter too. Doug Stanhope, what does Doug Stanhope say? He says, shouldn't the goal of any society be 100% unemployment? Crickets. You didn't think that was funny? Oh, come on. Okay, all right. Let's talk about unemployment where we don't have to work. We don't need to work. But how are we going to get to that society where we have 100% unemployment? Well, we're not going to agree on that. So, also know that education leads to a common sense. Can anybody tell me what that is? Common sense? I'm not sure I know what that is. Common set of shared experiences. TV used to do that for us. When we only had 3 channels, TV used to kind of create like a parasocial common sense.
Common sense in the sense of ethical, like that? Or
No, a sense of common thinking. They've been through similar experience. Like all this war generation comes back from World War II. They all kind of had a certain sense in common.
Oh.
Let's go with that. University students, people educated, tend to have a sense in common. More in common with each other than, say, like high school dropouts. That make sense?